propaganda, and then we've got to later determine what actually happened.
I like that federal law enforcement operates exactly the same way that local law enforcement does, but because the federal law enforcement is acting against the interests of like the state officials, they have to recognize that cops lie. Anyway, let's get back to it. Let's lock in. Judge temporarily blocks Trump admin from sending National Guard to Portland.
Blocked the president once again from sending troops to Portland, Oregon. Protests have grown there since he announced the plan, but they are confined to just one city block. Troops are being sent to Chicago, where there is growing outrage over immigration raids that have temporarily swept up U.S. citizens. Usher Qureshi's in Broadview, that's a Chicago suburb, with the latest. Usher, good to see you. What can you tell us?
Good morning. Well, after days of federal immigration raids and counter protests in Chicago, the Trump administration over the weekend said it would deploy 300 Illinois National Guard troops here over objections from the state's Democratic governor. Protests against immigration and customs enforcement turned ugly in and around Chicago over the weekend as people faced off with law enforcement, and tension at times boiled over into physical altercations following days of ICE raids and counter demonstrations.
Acts of violence are occurring on a regular basis.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Sunday called Chicago a war zone. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a Democrat, said federal agents were to blame.
They want mayhem on the ground. They want to create the war zone so that they can send in even more troops.
When asked about his plan to deploy hundreds of Illinois National Guard troops in the Windy City, President Trump cited violent crime.
People shot and killed. And Pritzker gets up and says what a wonderful place it is. They need help.
City data shows at least 270 people have died in Chicago shooting incidents since January, but that's down substantially from this time last year. Anti-ICE protesters also hit the streets in Portland, Oregon over the weekend, where they faced off last night with federal officers in front of the ICE headquarters in Portland after a Trump-appointed federal judge temporarily.
Yeah, I mean, this is from before. This is from October 6th. Yeah, that's something that he's entertained quite a bit. So
barred the president from deploying any National Guard troops. At least one protester was arrested, and our affiliate KOIN says
that's today. Oh, October. I thought it was September 6th. Wait, that's from today? Oh yeah, that is today. Oh my God, my brain is so doo-doo.
So far it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. But if it was necessary. Still
on French time, jet lag, brother? Dog, this is worse than jet lag. This is worse than jet lag because I'm not only am I on French time, but I also don't have any sleep whatsoever. I've been go for the past week, non-fucking stop, every single day, sleeping for like 3 hours max. And not getting good enough sleep at all. So I have jet lag and sleep debt. Stop getting COVID so much, dude. What? COVID? The fuck are you talking about? That's what happens when going to parties in France. Yeah, real party. I partied so hardy. It's funny that you're saying that, especially because I was live at the time when parties would be happening.
So far it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd.
Yeah.
Bullets and smoke were used. The same judge had already ruled against activating Oregon-based Guard members in Portland a day earlier. However, in what appeared to be an attempt to circumvent that decision, the Trump administration Sunday reassigned roughly 200 California National Guard troops to Portland. And Texas's Republican governor confirmed he'd authorized the federal use of 200 troops in several cities, including Portland.
Portland is burning to the ground. You have
It's so crazy, bro. It's just, what are we doing? Whenever I hear the president just routinely lie like this, in a way that's so transparently untrue, because he's not even like trying to massage the narrative. He's just actively coming out and being like, nah, the sky is actually not blue. It's a different color. It's a different color you've never seen before. It's green. Everybody knows the sky is green. It's not blue. You don't need oxygen for survival. Everyone knows you don't need to breathe. You can just see I'm doing it right now. It's just, he can just sit there and be like, they're burning down Portland. Portland is on fire. And because so many people are never going to go to Portland, and so many people are already operating under the assumption that Portland is on fire, they just look to this dumbass and go, yeah, he's right. He's so right. Portland is on fire. Please, Mr. President, those people that are lighting Portland on fire.
Insurrectionists.
Now, we should mention that our producer in Portland told us that
Also, COVID is surging right now and it's still the disabling people out there, dude. Wait, what the fuck does that have to do with? Okay, then why are you being a dickhead about it? Don't act like you were making an important point about, being more careful about COVID. You just said stop getting COVID so much. If it's serious, then you're betraying the seriousness of the crisis that you're trying to communicate.
before those clashes at the ICE facility, the city was calm and those protests have been contained to a single block. The city even hosted its annual marathon yesterday. As for Illinois, the governor says his state is among the places Texas troops are now expected to deploy. Nate?
Usher, thank you.
Meanwhile, in Chicago, sources telling Fox News police there were told to actually stand down on helping ICE agents who are in danger. Mike Tobin.
How dare they? How dare they? Look at this narrative, by the way. They're presenting this as though like Portland is so captured by socialist anarchist radicals that even the administrators in Portland are trying to stop ICE from operating. Or sorry, Chicago as well. Same thing. It's the same. It's the same principle. Sorry. It's the same. And in both of these places, obviously, the truth is that local law enforcement is actually, to a certain degree, helping ICE. They're not directly communicating with one another, but they certainly are helping with not the apprehensions, but personally brutalizing the protesters themselves. No, it's not Chirac, it's not Lib Portland's. No, it doesn't matter. Both of these places are getting the same reception. People are mad, people are angry, and Trump wants to send the troops to both of these places. I think there's a viral surge of streamers being mean to be specifically. Be careful. Okay, well, you're testing it.
Has the story for us, all the details. Hi, Mike.
And Chicago police officer behind the scenes telling us that they are outraged that the stand-down order went out to them after federal agents were attacked. The order appears to have come through a communication from the chief of patrol over the communication through the Office of Emergency Management.
I love this guy's neck.
And communication reading. No units will respond to this. Multiple police sources have confirmed to us the message is authentic and it is backed up by audio of the stand-down order.
They brought the most thumb-like guy they possibly could so that he doesn't get hit in the crossfire, you know? Because, like, cops will take one look at that man and go, oh, you're one of us, right? You are the most thumb-like individual we could find at Fox News.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location. All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Place in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Place in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
In an official statement, CPD says officers did respond. Writing quote, CPD responded to the scene to document the incident. CPD officers were also on the scene to maintain safety and traffic control. Now, chaos was triggered when, according to federal prosecutors, two individuals used their cars to ram the cars of Border Patrol agents. One of the agents shot a driver of one attacking vehicle. Those attackers are now charged federally. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says the facts need to play out.
We don't have a lot of facts. Remember, these are the same folks who killed a person, unarmed person, just a couple of weeks ago in Franklin Park. At first, they said that the officer had been threatened with his life. The reality of it and the truth of it has now come out, and that wasn't the case. They killed somebody. They are just putting out their propaganda, and then we've got to later determine what actually happened.
I like that federal law enforcement operates exactly the same way that local law enforcement does, but because the federal law enforcement is acting against the interests of like the state officials, they have to recognize that cops lie. But of course, only the federal ones, right? Only the federal ones, you know. Like, no disrespect to the big boy here, but like, yeah, they're cops. They're doing what cops do. They're doing exactly what, I mean, especially Chicago Police Department, which is like notorious for its cruelty. They're doing that. Do they have body cams? ICE does not. Local law enforcement does. Not that it has been a significant limiter of their brutality. They find ways around that all the time. Plus, there's not really a major accountability structure anyway. With the exception of like public pushback and protests. But yes, ICE is even less restrained than the minimal restraints that exist for local law enforcement after years and years of Black Lives Matter protests. ICE do have cams as to how these two people were allowed to go free. This one's in Chicago, had them anyway. No, they don't always have it. What is this? Oh my God. That's such a funny look. Most major metropolises have a civilian complaint review board, which of course is limited in effectiveness. There's no equivalent for federal law enforcement. Yeah, Big Brother's always watching, baby.
300 Illinois National Guardsmen have now been called up for a 2-month deployment to Chicago. What you're looking at right now is video of the scene that triggered that particular radio call. Tear gas and pepper balls were deployed into the crowd after agents said they were attacked. But meantime, as I just mentioned, 300 Illinois National Guardsmen have been called up for a 2-month deployment to Chicago to protect federal personnel and property. Also, Texas National Guardsmen, 400 of them, have been called up for deployment to both Illinois, to Portland, and an undetermined location. Back to you, Dana.
All right, Mike, thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube.
This escalates.
J.B. Pritzker says Trump is sending in troop as a pretext for the troops to Illinois, as a pretext for the Insurrection Act, is true. It is interesting that this admin, in all of its cruelty and in all of its incompetence, is forcing at least like some of the more competent administrators to finally push back with, I mean, there's significant limits here to what they can do, but they're trying to do it nonetheless. I don't know. I don't know how much you can trust local law enforcement or state law enforcement, but like, is that what it's going to get down to? You got the National Guard duking it out with like state troopers and shit? Because where does this go? And I don't even know if the state and local law enforcement would actually do that, would actually entertain pushing back against the National Guard anyway. What I do know, however, is that it's not going anywhere good. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere good anytime soon. However, there has been a funny instance of cops receiving, local law enforcement receiving a fraction of the pain that they push on the regular population. There's a video out there of, I think, ICE tear gassing local cops or something. Is this it? Is this the one? Chicago police officer was seen with watery eyes, coughing and struggling to breathe after what could have been tear gas or smoke was released this afternoon at 39 and Kedzie, where a protest against ICE was taking place.
They don't give a fuck about you either. Why you protecting them? Come on, man. Tomorrow it's you.
That's so funny. It's just, you know, that's some hog on hog violence right there, baby. These guys are usually the first to deploy the fucking tear gas. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised to watch this in action, you know? They don't give a fuck about you either. Yeah, it's true.
Come on, man. Y'all, you know that was fucked up. Y'all know that was fucked up. Y'all know that was fucked up. Garcia! Trail! Wake up! You're gonna wake up! We're gonna go this way and then we'll see. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Y'all don't get, none of us get paid enough for this.
Hey, do your fucking job and arrest ICE!
Wake up!
They shot a Chicagoan today! Arrest ICE!
Wake up! Wake up!
That'd be pretty sick if they started arresting ICE Have you seen the crusty gnome crying about ICE not being able to piss? Hilarious. Yes, I covered it the other day. Now imagine if Antifa did this. I mean, they'd kill him. Chicago and standing up and running ICE out. Oh, I saw this one as well. This video is great. Here it is. Southside Chicago, Windy City residents run off immigration agents to save a man mid-abduction on 63rd and Costner Avenue. Legally, Chicago Police Department can arrest federal agents if they're breaking the law. I mean, but they are. They are. They're doing it all the time. This is one of the interesting parts of like, this is one of the things that I've talked about with respect to what like ICE is doing. Okay. A lot of what they're doing is on shaky legal grounds, right? Like, of course, they are abiding by the wishes of the federal government, but the warrantless apprehensions and the fact that like they're engaging in the what the ACLU calls is operations in constitution-free zones, 100 miles from airports, all international airports, and 100 miles from every border that the United States has, which of course means a population of 70% of Americans, like an area of operation. Technically, what they're doing in many of these instances, like regular detainment for after racial profiling, like all of that is illegal. And they know it's on shaky legal ground. And that's precisely the reason why they're doing it while they're masked. Okay? They lie about being cops. They're not cops. Okay? ICE is not, they're not police. Like, it doesn't matter if they're wearing a vest that says police and then underneath it says ICE. Like, they're not. They're ICE. They're Customs and Border Patrol. And it is actually an illegal detention when they apprehend an American citizen. It's in this weird legal gray area. Obviously, it's morally fucked up, morally repulsive, but it's a legal gray area, which is precisely why like DRS of this sort, until they decide to further prosecute this, are sometimes successful. Like the difference between, I said this with like Mohsen Mahdawi, right? The difference between the Korean American or the Korean student in Colombia and Mahmoud Khalil or Mohsen Mahdawi was the fact that they actually apprehended those two, whereas they couldn't apprehend the other person because they just couldn't find her, right? They tried to, but I believe she wasn't at her apartment, so they just could not find her. And then a judge protected her. A judge said, yeah, you don't have any fucking right to do this. And she got away. She got away scot-free because the administration was doing something that was fucked up and illegal. So in this circumstance, like these kinds of incidents, or any kind of like additional hurdle, what they consider to be obstruction of justice, or an impediment to like police activity or whatever they choose to call it, can actually literally allow people to not fall victim to an unjust process. Oh, nice. Breaking news, Burbank Airport will have no air traffic controllers this evening, FAA warns. Thanks, real Donald Trump. Burbank Airport has 0 air traffic controllers from 4:15 to 10 p.m. today because of your government shutdown. Fucking awesome, dude. That's awesome. I love that.
Hey, no!
Fucking asshole. Look at this asshole. What do you recommend people do when you see ICE apprehending someone? Look, be safe. I'm not, it's a choose your own destiny type adventure. Definitely record though. Definitely film them. That I can say.
Let him go!
Like, look at this. Look at how crazy this is. This motherfucker's mask has no indication. You have no way to know if this person is just a fucking kidnapper or actually working for the federal law enforcement agencies. No identification whatsoever. Just a bunch of incompetent racists living out their racist fantasies. He is, motherfucker. Ha ha ha.
Get off him!
You know, you won't be laughing when you see this kind of vigilante action, seemingly vigilante action, when it happens to you or a loved one, for the record. That's crazy. They're just straight up putting their bodies in between.
Let him go!
Causing them in real time to make the decision, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it? And then I guess they just fucking give up. By the way, again, unmarked vehicle, plainclothes cop, potentially. We don't know. But they in real time go, okay, is it fucking worth it? Is it worth it to continue with this apprehension and detainment? Now, the worst aspect of this kind of like cruelty for the sake of cruelty methods that you're seeing from ICE is that, like, there are going to be instances where they might be actually, in one of the rare instances, they might be actually trying to apprehend like a pedophile. You know what I mean? But this is what happens when the overwhelming majority of people that you're fucking kidnapping without going through the proper process, okay, is that people end up losing confidence in federal law enforcement, especially for ICE in general. It makes total sense for them to not have any confidence. That is precisely the reason why they have to make sure that they're following the letter of the law every step of the way. This is in some ways, this is no different than like having Kash Patel be the director of the fucking FBI and come out without a proper investigation with information that later is proven to be untrue. You can't do that. Every time you do that, you cause people to lose confidence. And a big part of law enforcement is authority. A big part of being able to conduct law enforcement action is by instilling a sense of confidence in these institutions and therefore have the authority to be able to command people. When people lose confidence, when the public broadly loses confidence in a law enforcement agency, these kinds of things will inevitably happen. That's what happens. That's what happens when, like, you know, the overwhelming majority of people that you are apprehending are not actually doing any sort of serious crimes whatsoever. Stuff like this will become common. I stood my ground, but it was the police raiding my house. This is from December 8th, 2023. Diamonds Ford thought she was shooting at an intruder when Florida cops raided her home without knocking. Then she was charged with attempted murder. Like, there's a reason why law enforcement can't behave as a bunch of jackbooted thugs of the state. Yeah, her charges were dropped, by the way, chatters. What a lot of cops don't realize is they're putting themselves in harm's way when they let this kind of shit fly. They think they are unstoppable. They think that they will remain unaccountable, not realizing that this kind of unaccountable, unstoppable violence all over the country is not only going to frustrate people for understandable reasons, but it's actually going to cause them to lose complete confidence in these institutions that are supposed to be instruments of justice. And eventually that leads to complete chaos, complete anarchy. This kind of shit doesn't happen in countries where people have the utmost confidence in law enforcement, where they believe that, like, well, you know, there's some standards. It's not going to be a bunch of like random racist dickheads running around with masks apprehending people because they think that the dude has too much melanin, you know? if that's the overall attitude, then of course people are going to try and do de-arrests, which is a concept that is otherwise unheard of. But because the arrests themselves are being done to people broadly that have not done any sort of significant crimes, the assumption from most Americans is, here it is, yet another person that's being falsely kidnapped. Here's J.B. Pritzker saying Trump is sending troops as a pretext for the Insurrection Act.
Of violence is targeted and intentional and premeditated. The Trump administration is following a playbook: cause chaos, create fear and confusion, make it seem like peaceful protesters are a mob by firing gas pellets and tear gas canisters at them. Why? To create the pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act so that he can send...
I mean, I will say this is funny for like any position of authority to say, because like that's precisely how local law enforcement also operates. I just, he's on the right side of this issue, but like that is literally what cops do. It's just like funny to see a governor talk about law enforcement in this way. Like he's a HasanAbi head or something, because like that is precisely what local cops do as well.
Military troops to our city. He wants to justify and normalize the presence of armed soldiers under his direct command.
Illinois and the city of Chicago are filing a lawsuit against the Trump administration over deployments of National Guard troops. Joining us now to comment, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller. My question was whether the administration still plans to abide by that judge's order restricting any National Guard troops from being sent to Oregon.
Well, the administration will abide by the ruling insofar as it affects the covered parties. But there are also many other options the president has to deploy federal resources and assets out of the U.S. military to Portland. But I was making the point that under federal law, Section Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has the authority anytime he believes federal resources are insufficient to federalize the National Guard to carry out a mission necessary for public safety. So it's important to understand that in Portland, ICE officers have been subjected to over 100 nights of terrorist assault, doxing, murder threats.
I do think that this is going to lose its usefulness in the same way that like anti-Semitism lost its usefulness, right? Because it was deployed so unevenly and with such great frequency. Whenever someone was like, hey man, I think what Israel's doing is like pretty fucked up, they'd be like, you anti-Semite. Yeah, after maybe the first 10 times, people started going, what do you mean? You say that to everything. And it's like, if you're going to apply terrorism and doxing charges to, for example, a person demanding that an ICE agent reveal their identity, like where an apprehension, another kidnapping is happening, and someone, a civilian that is a witness to this incident goes, hey, what's your badge number? And you go, wow, that's doxing. That's a prosecutable act. You keep doing that, people are going to go, you say that about everything, big dog. Fuck you mean this is doxing and this is a violent act? The fuck? No, it's called demanding proper identification from a public servant that is unaccountable, that has tremendous amounts of power over regular citizens.
Violent attack and every other means imaginable to try to overturn the results of the last election through violence. The most important point I want to make today is that the number 1 and 2 items in the GOP platform in 2024 were to turn back the border invasion and carry out the largest deportation program in American history. Since Inauguration Day, there's been an orchestrated campaign of terrorism and violence against ICE officers. Of course, we saw the recent sniper attack against ICE officers. They're publishing their families' photos online. They're threatening them with murder. They're threatening them with death. And they're physically attacking them in the street each and every day. And yet, shamefully, the mayor and governor in Portland and Oregon have refused to render aid, leaving ICE officers to street fight every single night against these terrorists.
You make the claim of terrorist assaults and violence attack over 100 nights, and yet the judge overseeing this case says that that's untethered from reality. And local officials on the ground say that Trump's assertion of what's happening in Portland, that it's war-ravaged and burning to the ground, is far from true. I looked at the police data, and police have made something like 70 total arrests since June. And there are no reports of buildings being burned to the ground. The White House cited a guillotine being rolled out as like a public display of rebellion, but there isn't actually a threat that these demonstrators are going to overthrow the government. Are you concerned that that response weakens your legal argument?
No, they are actually, as we speak, trying to overthrow the core law enforcement function of the federal government. Boris, this is, I think, where we're talking past each other. When ICE officers have to street battle against Antifa, hand-to-hand combat every night to come and go from their building, when they try to exit in a vehicle, when they are swarmed and surrounded and they try to tip the vehicle over, when people bring weapons to an ICE facility to try to engage in direct violent assault against ICE officers, what is the purpose? It is to prevent immigration and customs enforcement from carrying out the mission the American people elected them to do.
You make the case that these are terrorists, but in what we've seen thus far, the actual incidents of people inciting violence and not responding to law enforcement attempting to disperse them are not an open rebellion. I mean, again, you make this characterization as though they're terrorists, and I do wonder if it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome that even the CNN host, I mean, he's one of the better ones for sure. But even he's just like, dude, you call everybody a terrorist. I don't think this is terrorism at all. Are people now the equivalent of Antifa like Palestinians or Hamas? Yes. There is a severe crisis in the Israelification of American society. It's almost like it's looping back around. Israel was very America coded, and now we are becoming more Israel coded. Because, I mean, Israel is accelerated in its fascist endeavor. It's more advanced in its fascism than America is as it stands currently.
Potentially a problem in the future for Republicans. If a Democratic president someday calls the National Guard to a red state over what they see as open rebellion, but is what amounts to a demonstration that gets rowdy. I mean, is that not a fear of yours?
And they're posting pictures of their kids because it's a demonstration, and they have a sniper on top of a building firing a high-caliber rifle at a nice facility because it's a demonstration. And
yeah, listen, little bro, there's a difference between those things, okay, and what the average person is doing. No matter how hard you try to fucking lump it all together, it's not working.
And they are engaged in vehicle ramming
But the
attacks,
National Guard isn't
coordinated
being sent to
attacks
Texas.
because it's a
The National Guard
demonstration.
isn't being sent to Dallas where that sniper was.
Because the Dallas Police Department and the governor of Texas, well, you walked right into that one, have responded.
Oh, wow, you have activated my trap card. He also comes across like such a whiny fucking loser.
To every call for assistance and help. They gave a stand-down order in Chicago, and they gave a stand-down order in Portland. Do you realize that there's 11,000 federal law enforcement officers in Oregon? That's larger than the size of the FBI. Local and state police are resourced to deal with this kind of riotous assembly, but they have refused. They've been given a stand-down order. So
they've
we
arrested
need
some
to use
70
National
people
Guard and
since
federal
June.
troops
They've been
to
arresting
fill in
folks
that
on the
breach.
ground. They've been arresting folks on the ground. They refute what you're saying outright.
We literally have the 911 audio of this stand-down order in Chicago, and we have documented inside of DH single unresponded to 911 call over the recent weeks and months.
Do you have...
Damn, local police incompetence is harming ICE. That's awesome. Also, I heard some other stuff about this. Apparently, ICE was making like fake calls as well, like making calls that were ridiculous to 911 themselves.
Evidence that this campaign is coordinated? Are you planning charges on anyone who is actually coordinating said campaign?
Yes. So since the Joint Terrorism Task Force has gotten involved.
Yeah, here, this is why it's so funny. ICE has been making phony calls to 911 and filling false police reports in Chicago in a deliberate scheme to antagonize local law enforcement. Any of us would get arrested for this.
You are watching as Broadview police respond to a 911 call, claiming someone was tampering with a gate at the ICE detention facility there. Body camera footage obtained by the CBS News Chicago investigators shows
They're so bad, dude. That's illegal. That's literally illegal. That is, I guess, add that on to numerous other illegal things that ICE is doing. That is awesome. Fucking awesome.
several Broadview police officers respond to an alleged homeland security threat. The gate in question is where ICE takes detained immigrants for processing.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
How are you?
Good. We got a call of subjects trying to climb over the fence or something.
No, not since we've been here.
But when police arrive, all they find is two people and a camera. Our CBS photographer filming the exterior of the building with a CBS security guard by his side.
Okay, and you guys didn't tamper with any of the...
No, man. The 911 call claiming someone was tampering with the gate came from an ICE agent. According to this incident report, an ICE agent called police for help.
But he can't go and try to force his way in that.
Yeah, I guess they're just doing the same. They're doing the same shit that they've always done. We're just like, excuse me, there's a nuisance. 911, I'm annoyed and scared. Come here right now, please.
Okay, so the guy in the
He
booth.
just says that he was just recording. Camera.
Do you believe that that was a false call?
I do.
Again, it was just our CBS photographer filming the exterior of the building.
In your mind, bogus.
Yes. It's disturbing. It's ridiculous.
That's
Broadview
awesome.
Police Chief Thomas Mills says this is just one of several questionable 911 calls his police department has received from ICE at this facility recently. This same detention center has become the site of at least 3 other incidents involving federal agents who are accused of hitting people with cars, shooting projectiles, and using chemical agents on journalists, including a CBS reporter last Sunday.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Amazing. It's funny that they've antagonized 2 groups that under normal circumstances would absolutely be on board. Okay? Local law enforcement and local news. These guys are, in most circumstances, totally on board with like police brutality and things of that nature. They will do decent coverage every now and then, but the ICE is so fucking annoying and such a disruptive force that they have lost local news and local law enforcement in the process. Amazing. That is amazing. I never thought I would see the fucking day. Anyway, that obviously hasn't stopped Stephen Miller from crying about local law enforcement not following every little fake call that ICE is making.
We found that there are common funding, that there is common financing, that there are meeting points, that
for
is
what you're
carefully
describing as
orchestrated,
actual
that is carefully
terrorism.
integrated. Yes.
And you are going to charge.
They're making posts on Instagram that hurt the feelings of our fat agents. They're calling them fat, okay? This is fat shaming. They're demonstrating fat phobia. They're not abiding by standpoint theory. ICE is a protected group. It's very disappointing. And I keep calling the cops. I keep calling them. I say, 911. They say, 911, what's your emergency? I say, they're doing body fascism. They're doing body fascism. They're calling my big, beautiful agents fat. Can you please arrest them? And then the cops hang up. I hate that. I hate that. Why are the cops hanging up? You're supposed to stop every nuisance. What are these guys getting paid for?
This is
Someone with terrorism.
Well, so I would like to.
I bet you would like to, but
I would like to. He said, I bet you would like to. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Why can't I call them terrorists? Why can't I? I think they're terrorizing me. They keep saying my wife is fucking Elon Musk. That is terrorizing. That's a terroristic threat. Okay. And if my wife were to fuck Elon Musk in a hypothetical scenario, I would be in the room sitting on the cuck chair. Okay. And if that's my kink, you should stop kink shaming me. That's terrorism.
Doesn't mean you're going to, are you?
No. What I'm saying to you is the Congress has statutes on seditious conspiracy, on insurrection, on impeding federal law enforcement. The domestic terrorism statute in Congress obviously needs to be strengthened for domestic terrorism in Congress. We have foreign terrorism charges. We have an entire patchwork of federal law.
Like that, what he's saying right there is so terrifying because the First Amendment has made it so that we do not have the same vague standard of terrorism applied at the domestic level. Now, there are issues with that for sure, especially when you have like when you have the Klan wreaking havoc and there's been no active way to disassemble militia movements such as that one. But of course, this administration is trying to change that in the opposite direction, not going after like active groups that are causing a significant amount of harm, okay? But instead, they're going after decentralized movements of people expressing discontent towards this administration, basically making the Klan the federal law enforcement apparatus. Incredible stuff. But once again, the First Amendment actually stops this kind of domestic terrorism designation from actually happening because it is seen as any sort of formation that is anti-capitalist or anti-fascist, even if it was a organized unit. That in and of itself is First Amendment protected. Individuals that engage in criminal behavior beyond that can be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but you can't just like actively decide that anti-fascism is actually a terrorist organization, and whoever we call anti-fascists, we have now declared a member of a terrorist organization and go after them.
To the extent that there are charges that apply, you have impeding law enforcement, you have seditious conspiracy, you have a conspiracy to deprive of rights, you have assault against law enforcement officers, but all of this meets the hallmark, textbook definitions of domestic terrorism. Boris, I just want you, just for a moment, to step back and think about what we're talking about here.
Oh my God, this is so Israel. Not much amazes me anymore about the modern GOP, but Back the Blue went out the window stunningly fast after the feds built their own goon squads accountable only to them. Those cops aren't cops, they're Antifa with badges. Look at them. Yeah, cops are Hamas. Benjamin Netanyahu is Hamas. The IDF is Hamas. It's the same. That is the same energy. It's the exact same energy. So fucking stupid.
President Trump ran and won a campaign on turning back the border invasion.
You've said
you
that
have the mayor
several
of
times,
Chicago.
Stephen. We have a limited amount of time, so let me ask you. Let me ask you about the governor of Illinois. Let me ask you about the governor of Illinois.
He declared a no-go zone for ICE.
We are set to hear
How is
from
that not
in just
insurrection?
Stephen, we're set to hear from J.B. Pritzker in just moments. He says that you're attempting to inflame tensions and create a war zone. He also says that you are profiling, that you're targeting black and brown people, even those who turn out to be here legally. What's your response?
Well, first of all, the black people in Chicago are thrilled that we're getting the illegal aliens out of their communities who are stealing their housing, jobs, and resources. You've seen the video of the town halls during the Biden administration where black citizens who are natives of Chicago were begging to have the illegals taken out of their country. What they've done is they've created a system of law.
Yeah, black people love the administration. They love having their cities, their neighborhoods terrorized by even less accountable, even more militarized law enforcement, under the suspicion that they are, because of their blackness, that they might be a Haitian migrant. Okay, that's definitely what they were demanding. The black communities were like, please, we want helicopter raids now. Not enough that the Chicago Police Department was beating the fuck out of our neighbors. It's just we want more.
In Chicago, in Illinois, where illegal aliens have far more rights than American citizens. If an American citizen, for example, commits a crime of sexual predation against a child, they'll cooperate with the FBI. If an illegal alien commits a crime of sexual predation against a child, that illegal alien will be shielded in an ICE no-go zone.
What are you talking about? This is so stupid. I can't believe they're still making this idiotic argument, dude. Yeah, definitely. When a Guatemalan migrant does something heinous like that, when a Guatemalan migrant does something heinous like that, basically they get away with it scot-free because the cops are like, we're woke. Yeah, the only migrants that engage in sexual predation on U.S. soil that get away scot-free are migrants from Israel. Okay, if you want to talk about an active threat to children, the only time I've seen that shit happen is when you got like a Israeli cybersecurity guy who just openly tells law enforcement, like, hey, by the way, I know you guys caught me in a sting operation trying to fuck a child, okay? But I'm Israeli, and I'm actually going to be leaving for Israel very soon. Please let me go. Not the first time such an incident has taken place, by the way.
I ask you the question, what is the right term to describe a local official declaring a no-go zone for ICE? Would you tolerate it for FBI, ATF, DEA? No, you would not. But there is an effort to delegitimize the core function of enforcing our immigration laws.
No, I think the delegitimization of the core function of federal law enforcement is not coming from people like myself. This is the same idiotic argument that, like, Kamala Harris dead enders actually advanced against people like myself, saying like, oh, it's your fault that she lost. It's like, no, it's your actions, dumbass. It's your actions, Stephen Miller. It's your lack of interest in demonstrating any sort of competence or decency, and instead using ICE as your own personal Gestapo to undermine the rule of law and to create chaos in blue cities and in blue states and pack up whoever the fuck you want to and engage in mass targeted kidnappings, engaging in dragnets. That is what's unironically making people lose confidence in federal law enforcement. No amount of leftist or liberal commentary is going to actually change that dynamic, especially in the absence of the Democrat leadership pushing this narrative. It's like very obvious that this is homegrown. People's discontent is born out of what they are seeing unfold in broad daylight in front of their eyes. They see an administration behaving in this erratic manner, and they get upset. They go, no, I saw the guy that you actually fucking kidnapped. I know that person has a family. That's my neighbor. That's a contributor to this neighborhood. That's a part of our community. And you're just treating him like he's nothing. You're treating him like he is a rapist, bloodthirsty serial beheader or some shit. That's unacceptable. And then they get mad. And they express their anger. They express their frustration. What is this? Don't tell me that. Oh, yeah, we already covered this. Don't tell me there's not power in numbers and our resistance of voices do not matter. Fuck ICE. Yeah.
And our sovereignty. It is domestic terrorism. It is insurrection. And no amount of insane, hyperventilating lies from Pritzker or Johnson or any other Democratic official will change our minds on that. ICE officers should not have to live in fear and violence to do their jobs, period.
So on the substance of the question, is it the case that, as Pritzker frames it, you are profiling brown people, that this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color?
It's such a, oh, what a dumb question.
What a dumb question. Bro, I think Stephen Miller should be on camera more. I've realized, like, he is such a fucking evil little nerd. I'm realizing that any moment in the spotlight for Stephen Miller is another moment where this administration is going to erode confidence. What a dumb question. Like, you look like a 90s villain. Back when in the 90s, like, all the villains were nerdy. That's what he looks like. That's what he sounds like. Yeah, Dr. Evil looking ass, bro. He unironically sounds and behaves exactly like Dr. Evil.
The illegal aliens who are here are taking jobs away from blacks. They're taking jobs away from whites. They're taking jobs away from Latinos. They're taking their health benefits away. They're taking their school slots away. And of course, in many cases, they're committing heinous crimes. We cannot have a system of law in this country that privileges illegal aliens over American citizens. And that's what they're doing. You know it, and I know it.
So that's not exactly a no, Stephen. Can you just unequivocally state that the immigration policy?
I said it's a dumb question. Okay.
Well, I appreciate
no,
that, but can you? So no, this policy is not designed.
I thought when I said it was a dumb question, it meant no.
Well, I just want to be clear and precise. I appreciate you trying to qualify my questions, but nevertheless, I think it's a fair one that a lot of people have.
My full answer is no. That is a lie, and it's a dumb question. But you said something else, baked into the premise of one of your questions. You said, well, aren't we provoking? Illinois governor says we're provoking actions that are unlawful. Why would the mere presence, just think about this for a second. If I put federal law enforcement and National Guard into a nice sleepy southern town, is anyone going to riot? Is anyone going to try to shoot them in the face? Are they going to try to attack them in the street?
They would say full of people in the middle of the night covering their faces without identification, without identifying themselves. There might be concern among the community, especially if American citizens are being, especially if American citizens are caught up in that, which some reportedly were.
We netted over 30 foreign terrorists who are members of Train
and American citizens also wound up apprehended in that.
They torture women and children. Those American citizens are now safe from Train de Aragua. You know, there was a case recently in Washington State.
But isn't that enough reason for some people to demonstrate and say that they disagree with that policy?
They took a power drill.
Isn't it enough for some people?
Well, by the way,
hey, Stephen,
first of all, let me finish the story. TVA took a power drill and drilled a hole through a woman's hand.
Understood.
Through her hand.
We have to leave the conversation there because we're short on time. But nevertheless, we do appreciate and coming on CNN and sharing your point of view.
Always.
Those National Guard troops are.
Oh my God, that was awesome. I didn't realize that things like that happened on CNN still. Oh my God. Oh my God. He is so fucking unlikable, dude. It's like the argument that he is presenting requires him to be somewhat likable, at least to like a percentage of the base, you know? But because he has no charisma whatsoever, like he's worse than Donald Trump for sure. What is this? Did you see? I think he might have had a stroke. Yeah, we watched this. Yeah, but I think I was pissing while this part happened.
Blocking the deployment of National Guard in Oregon, illegal insurrection. Does the administration still plan to abide by that ruling?
Well, the administration filed an appeal this morning with the Ninth Circuit. I would note the administration won an identical case in the Ninth Circuit just a few months ago with respect to the federalizing of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
Oh, my God.
Stephen, I apologize. It seems like we're having a technical issue. We'll try to fix that and get back to you after a quick break. Stay with CNN.
Oh my God. Did he stroke out? What the fuck? They're resetting the code. Yeah. I hate when the server update happens when you're like mid game, you know what I mean? That's what took place, I think. It seems like he got hit. He got hit with a server update. Like they had to put it into safe mode. President. Good things never happen.